Hello everyone, and welcome back. Thank you for being here. Today we're going to tell you a whole new story. Okay, let's begin. Honey, I think it's time to talk. How many men have heard those kinds of words? How many dreams and marriages have failed? Yes, Debbie, do what you want. As soon as my 14-year-old wife walked into our house, I gave her my full answer. Who is this young man with you? Thank you, Charlie. She began with a hint of doubt in her voice. This is Michael, and I'd like to talk to you about him. When I looked up at them from my seat, I saw my beautiful 36-year-old wife. Also, the handsome guy who was with her, he couldn't have been more than 23 years old, didn't have the best voice or looks. Didn't it? Michael had a big smile on his face, while Debbie looked very serious. Is it a smile then? It really didn't matter that much. He did, however, look like he was very happy with himself. He might have had a reason to. What about Michael? I had a question for Debbie. For Debbie to hide her stress, she swallowed and cleared her throat. Charlie, you must know that our most recent sex wasn't great, right? Kathy, I don't understand how you could say that. Begged. Charlie, calm down now. She dove in head first. You and I both know that our most recent sex experiences have not been very exciting. I asked. Not too exciting? What do you mean by not very exciting? I want you to know that maybe you haven't been giving me everything I need, honey. Debbie. How do you know that? I was adamant. Why haven't you dared to have sex with me in 6 weeks? It makes me doubt that you haven't been very good. At least my wife was nice enough to look a little uncomfortable and look to Michael for comfort. You see, Charlie, Michael cracked. Debbie is telling the young man, I don't know you, I stopped him. In addition, you don't know who I am. If you want to talk to me, don't call me Charlie. It is Mr. Martin to you. Michael stood there angry, and his face turned an interesting shade of red. That was a 0 for me because he knew I beat him on that one. But I knew that the score wouldn't stay that way for long. Michael, let me handle this. My wife left before her partner did something they might regret later. Charlie, it's not that I don't still love you, let me explain. I love you and can't stand to think about my life without you. Why aren't you telling me that you're interested in someone other than Debbie? She said again. No, of course not, at least not exactly, that is. I think she was hoping I would understand by the way she looked at me. Then I made a move for her to go on. I don't want anything to change between us, honey. I love you just as much now as I did before we got married. Charlie, I think I've grown emotionally more than you have. I need some time to figure things out. She stopped again, grinned at me, and seemed to be waiting for me to follow her. I said yes, and took a chance by calling myself Debbie. I think you mean having Mickey Boy all to yourself. Michael got mad when I called him Mickey, but he calmed down when he realized what I was saying. Please don't be so mean. I was just playing with him. Debbie told me that wasn't right for a man like you. I thought that you would be more aware of what I need. Then what would you call it, Debbie? She said it more clearly, well, more of a meaningful relationship. An important part of who I am, like cheating on my partner in a relationship. Do you mean that if I were pulled in, I would have to look at myself like a child who would not behave? Charlie, you should know that you're not helping me out. I'm sorry, honey, I muttered. I wouldn't want to get in the way of your quest to find yourself. Charlie, it's okay. She was gracious when I said I was sorry. You haven't said what you want yet, though. Hi, Deb. There was something I said that made her feel a little good. Good morning, Charlie. I think you know what I mean. Deb, I told you to be honest. It was very clear from the little talking they did together. They had not at all planned for the conversation to go that way. In the end, Mickey Boy told Debbie to go on, even though she wasn't ready to call me Mr. Martin. That's when Charlie finally spoke up. Well, what we thought is that you and I carry on happily. Like before, except Michael and I can go on 2 or 3 dates a week. You wouldn't even know, honey. Promised. And you think that would be good for us as a couple? Hey, Debbie, do you? Yes, honey, I really do. Michael and I have worked it all out, she said next. I might not be here every night, but I'll always be back for breakfast. I thought that was interesting because I usually made breakfast. She wasn't really acting silly, was she? Then you might find out who you are. When is Debbie? Yes, I would. Michael helped my wife agree. Yes, Charlie, and of course yours too. I'm sure I could see the world, which has been my dream my whole life. What a silly idea that is. Wonderful, I answered by nodding my head to show that I thought I fully understood the plan. In this way, our connection stays the same as it has been for 6 weeks, with you not showing me any closeness. Debbie looked a little down while her boyfriend clenched and unclenched his hand in anger. Sticky Nick Jr. boy here gets to hang out with you several times a week. Charlie, please don't be so mean to me, putting out her arms and moving closer to me. Of course it won't be like that, honey. If I haven't been there for you lately, I'm sorry. I promise I will make it up to you. Is that okay with you then? Mickey, I asked as I reached out to grab the halter and turned to face the other man. Is it okay if your partner pays me a little attention? Now and then? He smiled back at me like I was stupid, sure that they had me where they wanted me. Okay, guy, it doesn't matter how often you screw Debbie. She will never be happy though. It's the same as what she gives me. Debbie tried to tell him to stop talking, but he was already too close to her, and kept going after that. You act like you think you're better than me, but there seems to be a lot more to the story. Then you knew. Hey Debbie, do you feel the same way? I asked. Mickey's cock is a lot bigger than mine, and he makes better use of it than I do. Charles, not at all. I promise I didn't say that to him. He's not telling the truth. What a fool. He's not better than you in bed. A little rougher, but the same in every other way. I waited a moment before telling them what I wanted to say next. In fact, Linda pretty much said the same thing. They fell to their knees when I spoke. Mickey boy rushed up to me and raised his fist, leaving Debbie speechless and staring blankly. You jerk, don't bring Linda into this. He let out a scream of rage. I'm sorry, Mickey boy, but your wife Linda is already involved. I love telling him that. Debbie reached out and pulled him back as he walked up to her with his hand high. She begged Michael, don't. I'll kill the jerk, he yelled. He was an old piece of dirt. She held Michael close and said, I promise that you don't have a chance. You'll feel bad about hitting him. She was, of course, right. We might have been about 15 years apart in age, and he might have worked out at a gym. I had learned a lot over the years, though, and now I was ready to run my own building company. There are some tough guys in the business, but here's how to take care of yourself. He stepped back and thought about it. Feel bad for them. Don't worry, there might be another chance. Why does Michael's wife need to be involved in this affair? Finally, my loving wife Debbie asked. I told her she didn't have to involve herself or me. In the beginning of the month, Debbie called me to tell me what was going on between you two. Mickey boy looked shocked, and Debbie looked surprised. He had no idea what was going on at all. God, this was starting to feel good. At 2-0, there was no winner. We all looked at each other and waited for someone else to say something. Once more, Debbie was the first to break. Charlie, are you being honest with me? That you and Linda have slept together? If you want to know if I've been making love to her, I love telling her. At that point, the answer is yes. It started out as a revenge fuck between us about 4 weeks ago, but I'm happy to say that it's grown into so much more. You jerk, you're lying. Mickey boy jumped in right away and said, my wife only wanted to sleep with me, and that too, especially with an old bugger like you. This made me raise an eyebrow. I quickly looked at Debbie, who looked very angry. Since Debbie and I were pretty much the same age, what did his word say about her? Her very old cow. Mickey, do you want proof? I made fun of him. There has been. But I have some information about her that might surprise you. You didn't know how many relationships she had. If looks could kill, I would have been dead for a long time. That's when he was sure I had seen more than just his beautiful 21-year-old daughter. To her, but that I had also spent time with her. Never before have I seen someone react so strongly to small things I did to make my point stronger. We'll just say she liked the time we spent together. He threw me like he was lying. Do not think that Linda does that for you, sunshine. It was fun to make fun of him, and I was able to convince her that it might be fun too. She loves it. Instead of doing my wife, you should have tried new things with her. He yelled angrily, I'm leaving, and pushed Debbie's hand away from them. I'm going to show off my violent wife. What is that? Mickey, hold on. I yelled at him while pulling out a key. People won't let you into the house unless they have a key like this one. I got my own key, you stupid jerk. He let out a loud, angry scream. Not like this one, I told him. We changed the locks on your house. Mickey seemed to weaken. I believe I liked that. That's when I'll be gone, I told them happily as I stood up for the first time. If you need me, you know where I'll be. What about your things? Charlie, she cried out, and the first tears started to fall from her face. You can't just leave me like that, honey, she said. Oh, but I can. My dear, also, everything I need from this house is either packed up and at Linda's house already. My automobile. That might make room for you to grow, my love. When Debbie quickly looked around the room, she saw for the first time that some of my things were missing. He started to cry and reached for my arms, but I stopped her and told her she could keep the house and her car and that my lawyer would call her if she needed anything else. Charlie, how am I going to stay alive? She cried so hard. You have a part-time job. Hi, Deb. I told her about it. And maybe Mickey will show his support. But it might not be so easy since Linda's dad is going to fire him first thing in the morning. As I walk up to the front door, I turn around to face them and notice that they don't seem as sure of themselves as they did 30 minutes ago. I yelled to Mickey as I left the house. Hi, it's nice to meet you. Hi, Debbie, nice to meet you. Thanks for everything. 3-0. I didn't turn around when I shut the door behind me, but I could hear them yelling and screaming at each other as I walked to my car. The price I thought it would take to get rid of Debbie was different from what I actually paid. When she betrayed me for the first time, I no longer cared about her. Along with trading in a 36-year-old, even one that's still in great shape, plus $100 for a 21-year-old model with very few miles and perfect, beautiful condition showed up. I believe a great deal. It looked like she was deeply in love with the fact that she was an animal in bed. The fact that both her dad and I were multimillionaires seemed to help a lot. That's funny. Thank you for seeing. If you like this video, don't forget to like, review, and follow so that you can see more like it. Until we meet again.